So now this session is officially being recorded. Good to see everybody. Thumbs up if you're all doing well. I like it. Okay, so you can hear me. That's also good. I want to share a couple of things too, just to throw that out tech-wise. So if you have a meeting already set up in Zoom, just make sure that you take care of your settings in Zoom. Let's see. So let me show you this just to be sure that we're all on the same page. Micah, baby, I can't help you right now. Yeah. So if you look at my screen for a sec, everybody see the avoid Zoom bombing? Thumbs up. If you can see that document. Okay. So I just want to remind you of a couple of things to avoid. We had a couple unfortunate incidents that happened to some Western teachers and also to some leadership. So if you are still doing a Zoom meeting, require a meeting password. And if you have the ability, use the waiting room feature. Under your settings, make it so that you set screen sharing to only you do it, you being the host. And then once everybody is in the meeting, lock the meeting. And that can be done by clicking on participants. And then you would do that. So that document is there. I'll put the link in so you'll have it. I'm gonna go ahead and copy it from here and put it in chat. So you'll have that link for a start. That's in case you have some stuff still going on Zoom-wise. They're encouraging people to use Schoology conferences. I'll share a bit about it. There's some pluses and minuses to all this stuff as we go forward, just so you all are on the same page. There's not like a great silver bullet. So let me do this, go to chat. And if someone would be responsible on the end of, at least as people ask questions, just at the end of it to copy the information from there and then email it to me and I'll go through it and then have Pat send it out to everyone else. All right. So that's the link to, if you're using Zoom, just some tips to avoid getting some unwanted people in your meeting. I think yesterday some people saw some unfortunate images that are probably hard to get out of your eyes or your brain. So just take a look at that later. The other link I want to share with you are two videos that talk about Schoology Conference. It's the same software that's used in a lot of learning management systems. So one of the videos that I'm going to put in here is actually, they're using Canvas as their learning management system, but it's the same technology. So those links are there as well. All right, so Schoology Conference, which is what they're encouraging people to move to. I will say at the outset, two things to be aware of. The first one being this right here. Let's see, let me show your screen once I get it up. So some teachers were using it yesterday and they were trying to see each other. The students were trying to see each other in Schoology Conference. And so basically what ended up happening was that they were able to get the students in there, but the students weren't able to see each other. And so what was probably happening was this right here. I'll show it to you. So apparently a lot of people have started using all these social media platforms and these recording or video conferencing kind of technologies. And so there's been an increase in the usage. And so what's happened, the people who supply Schoology conferences, I think, I haven't got this officially, but I think what's happened is they've temporarily turned off the ability for students to see each other's webcam feeds. They can still hear each other, I think. Now, this is also hard for me because I don't have a class. I can't test it out and see. But if somebody, when they go through this, can just give me some feedback about what you were able to do in your Schoology conference, that would be awesome. What I will tell all of you, just going forward, these are unprecedented times we're facing. Some of the times you're going to do stuff and it may be frustrating, it may be stressful, it may work wonderfully, it may work so-so, and it may fail completely. What I would tell you is that you being the best resource for your kids, roll with the punches, let them know there are going to be some teachable moments, there are going to be some things we say, we won't ever do that again because that was awful. right? But this is us trying to figure out this thing out. We didn't prepare for it. None of us did. But I know the caliber of people you guys are, that we will get through this. All right. And so just remember, you're always the best resource for your kids, hands down, with whatever you're teaching. All right. So Schoology conferences. I think a lot of you started setting this up yesterday. My screen is being shared. So let me switch in. You should see my Schoology page. Thumbs up from people, that at least gets me. Can you see my Schoology conference page? Okay. All right. So what you would do if you haven't done so already, the first thing is setting it up. And I think a lot of you did this yesterday. You would left click here and go to the App Center. And then under that, the apps is at the top of your screen. Just remember that. So you go to the App Center, look for Schoology conferences. I use Control F to find it. And then I just type in conferences. That gets me there faster. It'll ask you to install it. You choose the courses you want. I don't worry about the admin part. I just leave it as a default for the course and check it all the way down. Once you have it set up, it will show over here on the left-hand pane, down here on the left. All right, so let me scroll down. All right, and so you'll see there's conferences there. When I left click on conferences, now my computer wants to do stuff for me apparently. Okay, so. All right, so when I left click on conferences, you will notice that it will show you your active conferences and your completed ones, and you have the ability to create a new conference. This part is the easy part. You simply go in, create the new conference. So I would hit create new conference, title it session, I'm gonna call it session 2. And I'm just gonna put a random start time of say,
because the cake is over there and you don't tromp because it'll make it go flat. And it will taste gross and nasty. No.
I think that's Kim giving us
your
a
microphone off.
I like it. All right, so you'll notice I have today's date and I have 2 a.m. I'm gonna hit create.
Walking will make the cake go flat.
And then even though the time is later, you'll notice as soon as I hit start
Because
conference,
they would
my
slam the
conference
door.
actually starts. Let me see if I can get Kim.
Come here.
Let's see. I can do this.
Yeah.
Moderator, can they tell who it is?
I think it's Kim, actually.
Just mute her.
Yeah, I was trying to multitask. Let me go to participants. Let's see. Where is she? There she is.
Schoology, I can.
Oh, she's muted now. Okay, she took care of herself. Good job. All right, so anyway, so this is the conference feature. Some questions that were asked yesterday from this. So you have the ability to do, under actions, this little button here, you have the ability to do a poll. What you would do is if you have a slideshow, you can ask the question or you can verbally ask the question, and then people in the conference can go ahead and answer with the poll, and you can choose yes, no, true, false, or do a custom poll. So you have the ability to poll people. That's one feature. That's pretty cool. You can do shared notes. This you can create, and then once the session is over, you can export what you have here as available for other people after the session closes. But once, bless you, whoever that was, once the session closes, the notes are just only in the conference piece until you export it. All right, so that's shared notes. And if I were to do something like talk about PowerPoint or whatever it is, I could put these things in, I could enumerate them with bullets, all that fun stuff. All right, the other thing, so under here, I've got the poll. This is the plus button. So I got the poll. I can upload a presentation. So if I had a PowerPoint that I wanted to show you guys, I could go in and upload it. Now, those of you who use Google Slides, what you'll have to do is in your Google Slides is go up to File and download it as a PowerPoint. Also be aware that what it's actually doing is it's converting your PowerPoint, whether Google Slide, once you convert it to a PowerPoint, or just a PowerPoint presentation, it's bringing it in as a PDF, which means your transitions, your bells and whistles, all that stuff is not going to be there. Just think of it as a slideshow. That's really what you're getting. Now, if you, the workaround would be, if you're doing this, is to share your screen and then open PowerPoint and share it that way. And then you get your transitions and all those other things in your presentation, as opposed to what I'm doing now. This is just simply, at its bare minimum, a slideshow. Let's see, let's try infographics. Here we go. All right, and so what happens is you put the document in, and it'll talk about what can be supported. Again, PowerPoint does work. And I'm gonna hit upload. Takes a little bit, and it'll go in. Let's go back. And so you'll see it's doing a little dance, converting the file, all that fun stuff. And then the other things you can do in this are, you have breakout rooms where you can either randomly assign students to a breakout room, or students can choose their breakout rooms. So let's say you had something where, like, from one of these slides, you say, hey, I want you to discuss slide 6, and they look at slide 6 in their breakout room. And then what happens with the breakout room is you set a timer. You can end the timer early, but once the time is up, the kids are brought back in. So you can set up a breakout room so people can have side conversations going on with your presentation. All right, so this is my PowerPoint that's brought in. And again, this is basically, like I said, it made them all PDFs and it just put stuff in there. And so this had transitions and things that moved out and all that. They're not happening because it just made it basically pictures. So be mindful that's what you're getting when you're doing a PowerPoint here, unless you share your screen and you just make the PowerPoint full screen for your students. Then you get all the bells and whistles. Okay. Over here to the left, this panel over here, you've got the chat feature where people can talk. That's this stuff here. And I can say, note, and then enter it in, and then people can go back and forth. Over here under users, this is probably the other tab. You'll notice if you are the host, your computer, I mean, your icon will look like this, where you have a little blue square, and then everybody else will have a different image there. So you can also mute everyone. So if everybody's getting too rowdy, just mute them and then set it up. Here's the breakout room. I'm just showing you the feature. The videos I showed you do a much better job of explaining this, so I would watch those as far as that goes. I'm waiting on my breakout room to actually open up. Let's see.
Alfred, you got 2 questions in the chat.
Okay, there's my breakout room. What's the first question?
How do I add kids?
So when they're in, let's see, when they're in Schoology, let me see, let me pull up the screen here, hold on. Let me close out the breakout room. Okay. All right, so over here under users, let's see, where'd it go? That's not it. All right, I will come back to that because I thought in Schoology you just send them a link to the conference and they hit join, which is why I'm not seeing anything over here. So
I just did one with my kids. It's Cameron. I just did one with my kids and I figured it out. If you want me to share.
Yeah, go ahead and share that with it because I thought you just hit the. I just joined it. Go ahead.
You actually don't have to do anything. You don't have to send out a link or anything. When you add conferences as an app on Schoology, it'll show up on the menu. And when they click on that conferences, there is a button that just says join current session. So as long as you have started it on time on your end, the kids can just add to it. So like on the screen that Alfred's showing, instead of saying where it says start conference or end conference, for theirs it says join conference, and they just click right there.
That's what I did earlier today. Thank you, Cameron. I was like, I remember just clicking on something. And so, yeah, again, they would go over here to the left. You'll have to tell them to go to the conferences, but that would be the main thing. I appreciate that. This is the other thing that I keep complaining about on our end. It would be great to have a dummy class where I have a bunch of kids in there to play around with and see what you guys see. All right, so what was the second question, whoever that was reading them off?
Could you talk about how math students specifically would submit work, as it would have to be handwritten?
Yeah, so what I would probably do is, if you felt comfortable with that, I would just have them take a picture of their page and submit that file as an image, in all honesty, rather than trying to do the screen capture and the other stuff. If you want them to talk about the steps they're doing, they can record themselves and then submit the picture. But I honestly would, if you want to make sure they're doing the work, you could have them either record their voice or do record themselves doing it. And then I would just take a picture of the worksheet that they're doing. That's how I would do it. And then when you have the assignment set up in Schoology, you have the ability to turn in assignments or a file or a voice recording or any of the above. And so that's what I would do, is do that. Set the assignment up, and then you probably will have to tell them how to turn in a file. And I can show you guys that in a sec. Just remind me to come back to that.
All right, 2 quickies also, I think that would work here, Alfred. How are kids notified that they have a conference? Is there anything that's sent out beforehand or anything like that? And do the kids have to upload, like get the app onto theirs, like we had to get it into our Schoology?
As far as the kids go, I am not sure if they have to add it because I haven't seen it. But if people have already done it, did the kids have to do that part? Because I can't answer that question. I don't know if you told them. I think it's already there.
Sorry,
Go
I
ahead.
just did one today. No, they do not have to add the app. When you
Yes.
add it to your class, it adds it for them. And then they don't have to be notified. All they have to do is know like when their class time is. So since your class will meet at the same time every week, you'll just they'll just know to get on then.
And what you could also do, if you see my screen still, over to the left where it says updates, this is a great place. What I would probably do is change my landing page to updates. I think Megan talked about this a little bit, but if you change your landing page to updates, then basically this is the page they see when they first sign in. And if you say, hey, get on Schoology Conference and type it in, then they would see this and go to Schoology Conference, or hey, your project's due. And basically think of this like as a email with a whole bunch of bells and whistles to add it. So like I could say, hey, join our Schoology Conference meeting, that's meeting blah, blah, blah. You can insert a video in this thing if you wanted to, some links and everything else. Once you're done, you would post it. Just be aware that, again, you have the ability, while I'm looking at this, so if a student was going to turn in their work, they're going to see buttons like this, by the way, just so you are aware. And so what they would do when they go to submit a picture to you, like a math document, they would actually click on where it says file, right? And then they would look for the file, which would be on their computer or desktop or wherever they save the file. And then, or they could upload it and put it in a Google Doc and share the link with you. But basically, they're going to see these links right here. And I'll show you this in an assignment piece as well. But for you, what that means for you on this end is if you wanted to put a video in of yourself, hey, it's a great day, take a look at my dog and cat, we're having the best day ever. You could put that in here on your updates page. They would see that. What I did when I was on family medical leave for our 4th and 5th child is I just had a video of myself every day saying, hey guys, update on baby tool. And I talked a little bit about my family. And then I said, today what I want you to do is blah, blah, blah. Because I had people like, how's the baby? Can you show us a picture? Blah, blah, blah. So I did a little bit of that for them. But I used this update page. And so if you want to do that, to change your update page, you would go up here under course options. And then Under course options, let's see, where is this thing? Hold on one sec. That's not what I want. I got old man brain today. This is not good. Okay, edit privacy or course settings is what I want to say. So you would choose edit privacy or course settings, and then all the way down, scroll just a little bit down on the page, below all this stuff. Let's see, you would choose right here. This is the default page, which is what I have. I would change that to updates, and then save changes. And then whatever you post for an update automatically goes to your students. All right. Back in Schoology conference, let's see, let me go back to all of that. I think I was showing you breakout rooms or something along those lines. So just be aware that you can do breakout rooms and different things. They end when you end either you close them or the time runs out on them, is how they end. And they only are good for the session. So a kid could watch and see what, if you moderated a breakout session, they could see the session that you did asynchronistically, but they couldn't actually join the breakout section. They would just be privy to the process of like what somebody was doing. They couldn't actually join it. All right. Let me go back to conferences. So the other thing about conferences, let's see, is saving your video. I just want to make sure that you all are on the same page, being able to do that too. So I'm going to actually switch from my current conference to a completed one. And I don't know if I went too fast for this for some people, but I want to make sure that we're all good on this. So if you record your Schoology conference and make it available for your students, if you do nothing else, it's going to stay on the computer for 7 days. But if you want it to be on there for longer than 7 days, you have to go ahead and hit play. And then there are 3 parts on this screen. When I right click on the screen, and if you have a wondering what it is, if I right click here, you'll notice there's nothing. My browser's still an arrow. If I right click here, you'll notice that my browser turned to a finger. I'll do it a little slower. So there's the finger. That's the area that you want to right click, and then you would choose save video as and get your file. And then what I would do is probably either upload it to YouTube, or I would upload it to my Google Drive. And so what I found over these past 2 weeks is it's longer to go to my Google Drive when I do the upload. Like YouTube usually does stuff in about 5 to 10 minutes. But if I do my Google Drive, for some reason, it's taking forever. And so you may have to set it and then do it later. So just be aware of that if you get in a pinch. The benefit of YouTube is that, again, you can embed it on that discussions page. If you don't want to embed it, you just want to link to it, either one, Google Drive or YouTube will allow you to get a link for it as well. So that's how you would get the footage from Schoology conference. And I think the big push has been moving this way because of some of the security issues that have happened with Zoom. And so that's why I shared the other stuff with you. We're encouraging people to move to Schoology conferences, but I do want you to realize that you are going to lose temporarily the ability for students to see each other in Schoology conferences because of the high demand for using the product.
So
they can hear you.
Alfred, can I ask you, what about using something like Discord, which is a private server?
So I can't officially sanction that, but I can tell you that off the record, in my youth group, we use Discord to talk back and forth because it's a platform they're familiar with, and as far as that goes. On the record, I can say that we're encouraging people to use Schoology as their platform.
So I know that Monticello is using Discord. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, and so there are a lot of students at Western that are familiar with Discord, and I think some teachers right before I left were setting those things up. because we were trying to think ahead for this thing. So what I would say is that if you want to use Discord, I can share a one sheet that I have that I use with my youth group, but I can't officially say yes, go, as far as that goes. Assignments. That was the thing. I think I showed you guys this in the meeting yesterday. This is the other thing I would say is that I'm supposed to encourage you to use Schoology. If that's the learning management, that's the one that we're putting out there. I also know that some of you have familiarity with other learning management systems. I know our official position is use Schoology, but what I would honestly tell you is that if you get overwhelmed to the point where you feel like you're shutting down or whatever it is, you may need to say, you know what, this learning management system, I know it well, it works for me. I just need to collect the assignments. That would be better than you going crazy. Okay. That's all I'm going to say on it is that would be, I'd much rather see you at the end of the day. We all come through this. There are going to be some frustrations that are going to happen. But I do know that if you simply leave it with the Google Drive folder piece, that is going to be a crazy nightmare, which is what I was sharing with you guys yesterday in the faculty meeting. I don't want any of you to experience that. Now, two things that I also want to point out in Schoology. Let me shift from conferences to actually just doing assignment for a sec. And I want to point out two things, because if you're like me, you have your Google stuff on your drive, and you probably have a whole bunch of other stuff that's not Google related, but you use it to store it there, like some of your Microsoft Word that you never converted, or PowerPoints, or pictures, or whatever it is. All that stuff is on your drive as a nice warehouse. And so what I would tell people is as follows. If I'm going to add an assignment, now, the first way I would do it, and I can honestly tell you, whatever learning management system you do, take the time to set up the assignment. So you've already created the Google document, whatever it is. I'm just going to call it already created. All right. And then this is the Google Drive assignment app right here on the left. This is different from the Google Resource app. So the Google Drive assignment app, this is the one that I would use to create a template for my students. So all those files that you put in the folder, for an assignment I want them to turn in to me, I would put it here and I would use this. Now it's pulling up my Google Drive. And so what's happening here, just so you know, so it's accessing my drive, and then eventually my drive will populate this thing. There are a couple of things that we've noticed. Some of you who are working in Teams and Google, if you are collaborating, and so like let's say all the science people have their stuff in a shared team drive, if you want to access those documents individually in Schoology, what you would do is go into your team drive folder, pick and choose all the ones you want. I would do it at the same time. And then I would change and share those documents with myself. And I'll show you why you'd want to do that in a minute. Looks like my thing is timing out. This is the other tip I also told you that I would say. If you're using Schoology, switch to a different browser. Here's Firefox. Let's see if it'll, okay, so I gotta switch browsers. Okay, so anyway, if you're ever doing this, because I'm not sure what's up, sometimes with Schoology, it's been Schoology, sometimes it's been the browser. And so let me stop sharing for a second and switch over to Firefox. Because sometimes things don't work right in one browser, so switch to a different one. This is Firefox. All right, so, and I'm just gonna come over here and let's see if it'll let me do anything in Firefox. Okay, I have to get to my course apparently. All right, so the other thing I've also noticed is that Zoom sometimes gets in your way. So if you haven't used it while practicing, I would do a dummy practice with someone before you do it with your kids, so you can get used to where things are placed on your screen. Because sometimes I've tried to keep everything to the left when I'm using Zoom to make it a little easier. All right, so this is you'll notice now that this is my default landing page is updates, because remember I changed it. All right, and so I'm going to switch back to materials for me, and I'm going to add an assignment. Come here. And everybody can still see this screen. Let me get my tiles backed up so I can see you guys. Okay, so you can see, like I said, I switched to a different browser, and I'm going to go here. Let's see if it's any faster. Must be high volume time, because you know, at like 2 a.m. in the morning, nobody's on the internet apparently. We'll give it a sec. It could also be that my Google Drive is too big. There's a lot in it. All right, so let's see. While I'm waiting on this, if you are in Schoology, there's a course called ACPS PD. In that course are a lot of resources on how to use Schoology. And so remind me to navigate back to that if anybody needs to see that. Looks like my page is stuck. All right. I'm not sure what's happening. It seems
All right, so while we're waiting for that, Kim Gibson had to leave. So let's go ahead and answer, if it's all right, we'll answer some questions.
Okay, yep, go ahead.
So I think I can't remember what question we left off on. Is there a way to notify students when you're hosting the conference? Because
Yes.
the kids don't pay attention to Schoology updates, as we all know.
That's got to be we got to train them. The other thing you could do is to get their attention, maybe is have an assignment where they have to read something and it tells them that, hey, I got to go to my conference or something like that to get their attention.
Okay.
But this is why I think, like, for me, being prepared, when I did mine, I knew I was going to be out. And so what I did, which I think would be smart on our end next year anyway, would be to prepare, like, to take 5 different days throughout the year and say, hey, look, even though we're in school, we're going to pretend like it's a snow day and or a weird kind of setup or something. And we're going to go through the process of using our learning management system to access information. But I train my kids to start with the update and go from there. We're kind of we're gonna have to make it work.
What I do is I email every kid and their parents. Whenever I send an email out to the kid, I send it to their parents too, because my kids.
Yeah, oversend. And that was the other thing that I hope happens in the future, is that parents get access to Schoology. I think that would have been a big help for us on this one.
So the next question was, because you talked about saving it beyond 7 days. Our next question was, is there a way to do a trial session with my collab partner to practice ahead of time? Or do we have to go through our course to run a conference?
Yes, you can practice with each. You would just click on the conference thing when it started. I did it as a student in a course and just practice with another LTI. They added me to the course, but I think you can join the conference once it starts if it's going as the collab teacher. Since this thing is doing some weird stuff, I'm not sure if it's my Wi-Fi or what. Let me show you something else. So let me go to Google Drive for a sec and just explain some setup of what's happening with this stuff. I think this is it. Okay, so I want to go all the way. Now I got my Zoom controls in the way. All right, this is my drive for a sec, and I'm gonna switch it to so you can see. So everybody, this happens to everybody who's using the Google Assignment app in Schoology. And the reason I'm showing you this is down here, there's a folder. You're gonna have a folder on your drive once you use an assignment and use the app for it in Schoology. You're gonna have a folder called Schoology Google Drive Assignments. The reason I'm sharing this with you is if you collab with the teacher, you could, every time you create a document, share the document with the teacher. What I would encourage you to do is simply share this folder with the teacher. So you can just right click and choose share, and then enter in the teacher you collab with. And then that way, set up an assignment in Schoology. When it shows up, your collab teacher will also be able to see the in progress feature. I know there are a couple teachers who couldn't see documents as collabs because the teacher had set it up, but the share settings weren't set up before they put it in Schoology. I'm just saying this is the workaround for that. Now, the other way to do it would be, in your actual document. Before you do anything in Schoology, you can change the share settings over here in the top right, as far as that goes. Okay. And let me go back to this because I want to make sure you understand what's happening with this folder for a sec. So I'm going to hit escape here because I don't want to share it. So if I open this up, the next thing you're going to see is all of my courses that have assignments that were created with it. So in this case, this is Sandbox Section 1, and this is another class that's been using this. If I open this up, it's going to have a folder for every single assignment that I've created with the assignment app. And then inside of that folder is going to be all of the documents that were created by my students. Now this says me because what happens is when Schoology creates a template for your students, it makes you the teacher, the owner, and then this is the student number right here. And then all of their files will show up in this folder. And so that's why when you're in Schoology, you can see a live view of the document. The other thing that I don't think people are aware of, and I'm not sure why this thing's not working, but I'd say watch the video. It's probably my drive or my internet, but who knows? The other thing though that I would tell you to be aware of is this button right here, insert content. All the other stuff on my Google Drive, I can still get it. I would use the Google Drive resource app. And again, this says insert content. This insert content allows you to put in a whole bunch of other stuff. But in particular, if you have stuff on your Google Drive, like a PDF, I would use this button to set it in there. You could put in Quizlet. I even saw some people doing some stuff with Edpuzzle, which was pretty cool. Anyway, but that's this link here to put other stuff in. And what it would do is embed it or put a link depending on what you choose. It would stick it here for everything else that's on your Google Drive. I'm going to close this. I'm not sure what's going on with this thing, but you got to love it, right? So just be aware that sometimes you're going to do stuff and it's going to be ornery and not cooperate with you. And that's part of the times we're living in. But it's no different than you've been in school and the power goes out. I mean, there are going to be things that happen. And you just got to say, okay, we'll go a different way. The other thing about that I would say, some of you who want to do assessments for your kids, there's a lot you can do with assessments and as far as setting it up. Again, you would go under add materials and the assessment piece would be right here. Yeah, I wish they would do Google Hangouts. I just got to ask a question about that. Okay, other questions?
The only other question was from Laura Shiflett, and she had to get to an English meeting.
Okay.
So she's going to email you.
All right, sounds good. All right. The other thing that I would do, the reason I mean, like I said, collecting work is the thing that I would do. So here's an assignment that was created with the assignment app. I left clicked on it. I can see that this student, Alfred Toole, turned it in. And then if I want to grade it, I would left click on it here under submissions. I can also grade it from right here. It just pops it out and I can put a comment in and I can do this and I can choose whether I want the student to see this comment or not. All right. And so that's a quick pop out. That's called edit grade feature right here. You can use that. Or you can actually go even further in and click on the actual document and open up the annotation feature over here. And you can also still do video and audio recordings and attach files as far as that goes.
There's a question about, can you link meetings between sections? So like, could your 1A class and your 1B class have a conversation together?
That I'm not sure of, not having the feature on mine to be able to test it out. I will see what I can find out. Let me see what the nature of I almost wonder if you have a conference set up, if all of your students in that particular course, regardless of when it meets, sees that there's a conference or not. That I can't answer, but I really would like to have the answer to that question too. So I'll see what I can find out.
So my answer would be, that's when I would either use Google Hangouts or Discord.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there is some question about whether we can use that or not. I don't know why some things are turned on for us as teachers sometimes and not for students, because even before all this stuff happened, I had assumed falsely that students had access to Google Hangouts, and they didn't. So I was surprised that they didn't, because everybody else does. Other things with this, let's see.
So does Schoology have a way to document names of students who are present at the conference?
Yeah, they actually, you can take attendance, and then one of the video links that I shared with you, the guy talks about how to do that. You could even just have people do a thumbs up or pick one of their little icons and it will tell you like who did it, and you can see it and do roll that way. So if I were back in there, let me see, which screen was it? So over here, users, one of the things that users can do is you have a clear all icon status, but if a user wanted to do something for their icon, let's see if it'll let me do it. Yeah, I don't know if it was. So I could do all this, like raise my hand, and then you could take attendance this way. So you have all this stuff right here. And then you could say, everybody, please go ahead and choose raise your hand or something like that. And then you can see who actually was in the conference and not. Also, they'll show up over here. So you'll see everybody right here. That's the other thing. It's just me in there right now, pretty lonely. Other questions? Oh, this is the button here. This is what I was talking about. Remember I was telling about being able to see each other? When this is not in high demand, and I don't know if they're gonna fix this, I don't know what's going on, but this little share webcam button, this is the button that your students would click on and allow them to see each other plus you. Right now what happens is, I noticed that I had gotten this little weird error and had to start it again. So let me close it and see if I can get around it. But they have modified this thing for, oh, in this case, you're not gonna see my webcam because I'm using Zoom. That was the other thing I meant to tell you. If you're using Zoom, the way our computers are set up, your audio and your camera get hijacked by Zoom. And so when you try to use other applications, it's not gonna let you do them as far as that goes. So can't show you that right now. Other questions? Is everybody feeling pretty comfortable about being able to like just record yourself and say, hey guys, this is me, just checking in with you? Let's see.
I've actually never used the audio feature in Schoology, so maybe we could talk
Okay.
offline about that, or I just would need to read about it, but I've actually never used it. So
Okay, let me see. Yeah, mine is, it's not gonna work here, but there's a video in there. If you go through and click through the steps, you can record yourself
okay,
and do it. And then if you're having issues, one of the things that I found when I first tried using this back in the fall was that there were some issues because I had the new Dell and it had some microphone, camera issues, whatever it is. If you do run into that, simply close it out and restart your computer and then click
Okay.
through it and allow it to use your mic and stuff and you should be fine.
okay,
That's what they told me from the service desk and that's what I ended up doing and it seemed to fix itself for some reason.
okay.
All right,
Thank
guys,
you.
we are here for you across the board, your instructional coaches, also people who've been using Schoology a lot to do stuff. We gotta get through this together. And so just know that we will be here to help you with whatever you decide to do, whether it's more in Schoology or less in Schoology and more in Drive and that kind of stuff. Just know that we are here for you. This document here is also available for you. They place it in Schoology. So I'll show you how to get there. So if you're just using your folders, this is here just to help you stay sane. We thought, you know, we need to make sure that you're in the best spot possible. To get to this document, if I'm, let's see if it'll let me cooperate and get here faster. Let's see, go back. All right, so I'm gonna go to my courses and I'm just gonna show you where all this other stuff is, all these wonderful resources and stuff. And you can hear my kids, they're very active. They need to go outside. All right, so over in the top left, ACPS Schoology. There's the folder. And then once I clicked on it, what Jen did was she sent out an update. So if I click on updates, it will show you that was her update. And so I would read it and see what it was saying. As far as the materials go though, go into this folder. And then you have a couple of things on this screen inside. You have the tutorials, all these are here. Using announcements, discussion boards, all those were created. The transition, this is the stuff I showed you guys in the faculty meeting the other day. And this big blue folder is the other one that has resources in it. So you just open it up. And some of these are duplicates, but in particular, the getting the most out of your Google Drive, all that stuff is here. So right here, support for Google folders, that's the one that was created if you were going to use that one. And then, so these are all here for you. And then you have us as people to be here for you as well to help out. All right. If nobody else has any other questions, I appreciate you popping in. I will make this stuff available and have Pat send it out for people. But I do appreciate you guys and do stay safe. I was joking with one of my LTIs earlier today. I had to run into Walmart and my nose was running. I was like, oh no, I think I got it. And then I was like, trying to, and I was like, okay. No, it was just allergies. And so I was like, okay, good. But you know, if you sneeze or cough and you're around people, they start looking at you like, oh, why are you here? And what's going on with you? So anyway, be safe. All right. So you guys, feel free to email me. I'm going to end our meeting if that's all right with everybody. I think y'all are awesome. And I'll be here to help out wherever you need me. All right. And some of you are up really late. That's okay. I'm up really late because I have 5 boys. And so my clock is kind of random. So don't think it's too late. If I'm asleep, I won't respond to you. But if I'm awake and I see that you're awake and you sent me something, I'll respond to you as soon as I can. Because like I said, I got 5 boys. And last night, the 2-year-old did not want to go to bed. So, Anyway, I'll see you guys. All right.